Over the last several years, whenever I think of Stranger Things, unfortunately, I see the show as being extremely and blatantly aimless. And what I mean by aimless is that I feel like if you go back to each and every season, all 5 seasons now don't feel like they line up narratively. So if you go back to season one of Stranger Things is very basic. It's small town, dark atmosphere, like 80s nostalgia, kids trying to find their missing best friend. There's like weird, there's government people doing government stuff. There's this weird laboratory. There's this other world. It's like a dark version of the real world. It's pretty, pretty simple, pretty basic, but it's super compelling. I've said for years that I think the first season is one of the best seasons of TV ever made. Like seriously, it is that good. From the development of the mystery to the characters, everything about it is perfect. Dialogue in the show is great. They do a very good job at showing, not telling. They have creative ways to explain things, metaphor. They use a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, things like that. It's just everything about it clicks. The entire season clicks. And then you move on to two. Two is more divisive than the first one, but two feels very much in line with one. It has a very similar atmosphere about it, the tone. It's a little bit bigger, of course, like in scale, because we get the expansion of the Upside Down with the Mind Flayer and all this, and Will having these abilities. So it's like an expansion of the show, but like not too big. It's like a slight expansion, but it still feels very in line tonally, and the characters still feel the same. Um, it just feels very similar, and I think seasons one and two actually are the two that feel the most conjoined, and that's the reason that I actually don't hate two near as much as most people do. I actually quite like two. There's the one episode of two that, of course, I think on my rewatch this last time I didn't even watch episode 7, um, just because I mean it's kind of irrelevant, especially because it didn't spawn a spinoff, which I think Sean Levy recently tried to go back and say that they weren't trying to spawn a spinoff with that episode, but that's just a blatant lie. And then we get to season 3. 3, for whatever reason, has always been regarded as like the show's best season. And I think that is so weird. Of course, like back when it came out in 2019, I think I was 10 or 11 years old. So, of course, like back then, I was eating that up. Like I loved the third season when it came out when I was like 11. But going back and rewatching it recently, I rewatched it this past year, several months ago, and I realized how much I do not like it. Mainly because it feels. I always say that season 3, by the end of Stranger Things, by the end of the show's full run, season 3 is going to be the sore thumb of the show in the sense that everything about it is different, right? The tone is completely different visually and just like narratively. The tone is completely different. It's bigger, but it's kind of also not bigger. It's not bigger in the sense that like we're really expanding the stakes, because we're really not. If anything, I think the stakes are lowered a little bit from the second one. But as far as production value and everything goes, it's so much bigger. It feels like a real like summer blockbuster in the worst way possible, in my opinion. The characters, I always say in 3 that the characters do not act like themselves. Like, specifically Hopper. I think Hopper in season 3 is a terrible character. It's like they take all of the bad traits of each character, and because season 3 like is supposed to be bigger and like more blockbustery, it's like they take the bad traits of each character and they crank that up to 1,000. So like Hopper and his sort of like kind of arrogance, I guess you could say, and his his anger and the way he explodes, like that's taken up to 100, to where like he blackmails Mike in the car and like threatens to tells Joyce he's gonna kill Mike and cover it up, and then when he goes to Enzo's, he like gets drunk and takes the wine out of the restaurant and says like, I can do whatever I want. I'm the chief of police. It's so odd. It's not just Hopper. It's kind of everybody. All the characters, like their bad traits are like cranked up to 1,000. We get all the stuff with Billy, which is like neat. I guess all like the body snatcher stuff is cool. But the thing about 3 and 4 is really what kind of makes this glaringly obvious. 3 does nothing for the overarching plot. Hopper dies and Billy dies. That's it. That is the only thing that 3 does for the overarching plot. 3 is the filler season. It does absolutely nothing. So not only is it completely out of line with the rest of the show, because even 4 and 5 have a more similar like tone to 1 and 2, kinda. 3 just feels like a completely different show in every way. Season 3 for me is the main reason that the show feels aimless until the 2 most recent seasons. So 4 comes around, right? 4 is sort of a return to form with the darker tone. Narratively, the characters are they're back to normal. They're acting like themselves again. And I thought 4 was awesome. Season 4 was awesome. It was long. There were certain storylines that I didn't like, but the Hawkins storyline in season 4 is perfect. The mystery with Vecna, like I keep saying, the visual tone of it all, it's so good. The mystery at the asylum with Victor Creel, like the Creel house, everything, it's so good. Now, 4, to me, like 3 is always marketed as the blockbuster season, but I think 4 actually feels more like a modern blockbuster. 3 feels like a vintage blockbuster, but 4 feels more like the modern blockbuster because the stakes are like crazy. And while 4 is very different than the first 2, because it's like we've gone to this more epic form of storytelling and everything, I still love it. And I'm willing to accept that the show has gone there. It's amazing. 4 is awesome, but it still has that feel kind of the first 2. And now we have 5. And I guess that's what I'm going to talk the most about. 5 feels super disjointed. Disjointed? 5 feels like nothing that we've gotten before. And that's so disappointing because the end of 4 set up 5 like it was going to be this direct continuation. Like I thought for sure what was going to happen with 5 is we were essentially going to pick up right where we left off with 4, and it was going to kind of be like, sort of like an Infinity War Endgame thing, where Endgame kind of picks up like right where Infinity War ends with not exactly, but you know what I'm saying. I thought we were going to get something like that, and that the characters are going to be thrust into the action, and that it was going to be like, oh, this cloud is emerging, the Upside Down is merging with Hawk, but no, we don't get that. 5 starts, and it's been a year and a half. It's been almost 2 years. And the characters are doing these crawls into the Upside Down, and there's a big sheet of metal over the rifts in Hawkins, and everybody is just kind of like, oh yeah, it was an earthquake, whatever. I don't get that. I don't get that. And I get there are probably other reasons, like behind the scenes, that they had to do the time jump, specifically probably the actors. Everybody complains about like the Stranger Things release gap between seasons, and honestly, I never felt how bad that the release gap thing was until the gap between 4 and 5, because it's like the first 4 seasons of Stranger Things kind of feel like this little thing that happened, like this little show that happened here, and 5 is like, I feel like there's not been a season of the show in 10 years, and now 5's out, and it just feels odd. The characters again don't feel like themselves. I think narratively they went down a very strange path, because it's like Vecna now, it's like he's gone back to square one after completing his goal in 4. It's like he's back to square one, and he started this whole new goal. And so it kind of makes it, and somebody comment if you understand this, but for some reason it's just not clicking in my brain. If he has this whole new goal in 5, what was even the point of what he did in 4 with the 4 gates? Like, what was the point? Because the 4 gates opened and nothing happened. And now he's just back to square one, like collecting kids. What was the point? And a lot of people are like, oh, because the gates open, so now the Demogorgons can come through, and they can... The Demogorgons are shown to be able to like rip portals open at will. So I'm like, even if the 4 gates hadn't opened, could the Demogorgons have still not just like ripped open a gate and like crawl? And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Somebody comment if you understand it. And even like the storyline with the kids, it feels so silly. Everything about 5 just feels so silly. Episode 7 of 5. Oh my god. The scene towards the beginning where Holly like falls out of the sky and like stops midair and then gets sucked back up into the sky. When that scene happened, I was trying not to laugh because it looked so bad and was so goofy. All of the Abyss stuff, the Dimension X stuff that they're doing, Like just visually, it truly looks like a Netflix show now. And that's one thing that I've always loved about Stranger Things is that it's on Netflix and it's like on this platform, but it feels like real quality TV, right? But now like with the second volume of five, it actually genuinely feels like a Netflix show now. In the worst way possible, by the way. The writing in season five is so weird. The way the characters talk, I've seen a lot of people say this online, it's a very good point. Every other scene in five is just characters sitting in a room talking about something, giving some kind of a weird analogy for how something works, and then like a 5 second shot on somebody's face being like, and then a transition sound and we go to like another scene. That is like every other scene in five. And the conversations that they have where the characters talk, those scenes, they're not even that good. Like the act, it's like everybody's acting ability just went from here and just like Millie Bobby Brown. When I look at Eleven in season five, I don't even see Eleven. I just see Millie Bobby Brown. It's like they didn't do a good enough job at making her look like Eleven, or Millie Bobby Brown didn't try hard enough to get into character and like get all the little quirks going that Eleven has. I don't know, dude. The reveal with the upside down being a wormhole, I don't get it. I really I don't get it. Like why in the middle of this wormhole is there like a gooey replica of Hawkins, just Hawkins by the way. And then it's like this wormhole that connects. Are they two planets or two different like dimensions? Because in that shot we see it looks like the wormhole is like traveling in between two galaxies or something. So it's like, are they different planets? It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people try and say that the reason that the upside down or the wormhole, the bridge, whatever, is like a replica of Hawkins and is stuck on the day that Will was taken is because that was the day that Eleven like made contact with the Demogorgon and everything. But like, what about when Eleven sent Henry to the Abyss, Dimension X, whatever, back like before the first season happened, like in '79, was it? Like, did that not, was the Upside Down just created when she made physical contact with the Demogorgon or anything? I don't know. And then like the Mind Flayer, where'd he go? And it's like all these questions that I have. It's like the first 7 episodes have done nothing to answer those. All we know is that the Upside Down is a wormhole, and we don't even know the logistics of how that works. And we only have 2 hours to answer all of those questions. 40 minutes of that, by the way, is going to be epilogue, from what we've heard. 40 minutes of that's going to be epilogue. So an hour and 20-ish minutes to answer all of the questions that we have about everything, and also wrap up this supernatural plot and have this big battle and have it in this big neat little, I just don't see it happening. Every episode of 5 feels like they were forced to write it to be less than an hour, and it is the strangest thing. I don't know why they couldn't have just made the episodes longer, because it feels like they're forcing themselves into this like hour and 8 minute window, especially 7. 7 feels like they were forced to write it to be like a little over an hour. And I don't understand. The 8 episodes, I feel like I need 4 more. I feel like I need 2 more volumes. I do. I feel like I need 2 more volumes. And so overall, I think 5 just sort of strengthens that belief that I had the issue with the show, is that it feels so aimless. Each and every season just feels like it's trying to do its own thing, and it's like trying to like scurry and answer these questions and give us these answers. And like the Duffers can say that they've had this, and this that they revealed in 5 plans since season 1, like the Upside Down being a bridge to this. They didn't. I'm sorry, it's just not true, and I won't believe it unless I see physical evidence. I don't believe it. There is no way that when they were developing season 2 that they had all this in mind that we're seeing in 5. It's not true. And so it's just disappointing that this show that so many people have loved and it's been such a big thing for the last 9 years is sort of crumbling towards its end because they took too long to really get into the meat of what they were trying to do. They spent too long doing filler. So like 3 and then like bits of 2 is like filler. They spent too much time on filler. And now they're having to hustle and answer all these questions in their last season, and it's just rushed. And it's really disappointing. And so, I mean, I hope that they can do something in the finale of five, but they've not got much time to work with because they forced themselves into this little window to do all this. And so it's disappointing. And so hopefully we'll see. I don't know. I hope that they can do something. But if not, just remember, there's still